Hello, Megan Brothers. I'm back. When it comes to horror games, then you'll think of familiar names as Resident, Evo Outlast, or The Last of Us something. Being chased by monsters is scary. AI also recognizes but there's actually a lot of other fears. It's not just fear of monsters. It's not over. Everyone has their own fears. Not like most people. It's like being afraid of heights, fear of narrow space, afraid of the sea, afraid of cockroaches or of dolls. This type of person feels but others are a terror. And on Roblox, there are a lot of games harnessing these hidden fears. I can't see why playing Outlast, but the game made me balance between these skyscrapers, and it makes me die. Guys, it will be your turn. Face your fears now. In today's video Megam, I'm going to explore Roblox games based on dark fears. There really is no need for bloody violence. The obsessions are much worse. When it's done, you see, what are you afraid of yourself? But first of all, there's a fear that makes me extremely shiver. I'm afraid you'll finish watching without the video, subscribing to that channel. Just think about it and you're all goosebumps. Please help me overcome this fear by pressing the sign up button right away. 2 million sub me game, I will be out of fear Brothers, immediately. Save me. A fear of being buried alive. Imagine waking up, find yourself in a cramped wooden box. Can't move. It's very dark inside and it's hard to breathe. How hard do you try to scream? There's no one listening. And at some point, the air inside will dry up and you will suffocate. If you heard about this, you'd be horrified. You're more likely to have taphophobia. Fear of being buried alive. That sounds ridiculous. But this fear is actually very likely, with a lot of cases that have even appeared in Vietnam recently. In ancient times, this happened so much so that there's a bell on every coffin. People then put the bell in the coffin too. In case of friendship, the person inside the coffin is alive. Ring the bell and someone comes to the rescue. It was because of the doctors at the time. It doesn't make any difference who really is in a coma. In many cases, people wake up. I found myself in the coffin. In fact, if they were buried alive, the amount of time a person can survive oxygen is gone. About 5 hours. Or maybe less if the person inside panics. Make them breathe more. The second is the fear of flying. Although I love to travel, and I've flown a lot of times, but what it feels like when the plane takes landing off, or every shake, by flying through an area of turbulence, made my guts constrict. In fact, flying isn't scary. It's what scares us. It's the thought that we're going to have an accident. In terms of proportion, it's true that moving balloons is the safest. Every time there is a change, it's the radio that's all over plus the place. The obsession after watching the movies. This has made me. It's very scary to fly. They call this fear Europobae. My brothers, according to statistics, 85% of passengers on board, it doesn't feel as natural as it is, and that's normal. Human can't help but be afraid of external unusual conditions that they can't even control, even unpleasant. When you're locked in a giant aluminum drink at an altitude of 10,000 meters, outside temperature, the cabin is minus 55 and degrees. The atmosphere is extremely However, thin. If one reacts violently to this fear, I didn't dare to get on the plane or having a panic attack on a plane, but especially through the turbulence, it's safe to assume that they have a fear of flying. Then they'll feel the heart rate go up, difficulty breathing, and sweating. Although aeropia has been known since the middle of the last century, when that air travel has become common. But so far, it's not quite clear yet. How does the situation happen? And AI is at risk for BA. Fear of taking the elevator. Although elevator phobia is elevatorphoria, is not a mental illness, but the number of people who get it is huge. People with this syndrome, there's an intense obsession with elevators. That's what causes people to avoid elevators, just using the stairs, refuse to work, and live in high-rise buildings. In general, this is not related to another fear. Fear of narrow space. It causes the patient to feel overwhelmed. It is difficult to enter a closed room, or maybe afraid of space. Taking the elevator alone become extremely scary. The experts have not been able to identify what causes the fear of elevators. However, it's believed to be associated with related to the elevator. In the past, it's like having an elevator accident, seeing a loved one. My friend had an elevator accident, or it could be that person had access to negative information from newspapers or movies. And by the way, I would also like to share some information with you. According to statistics, in the United States, 27 people related to elevator accidents. The elevator accident injured up to 10,000 people. This video that I'm showing you is the Poster Noster elevator. There are 7 in real life. They don't have doors or panels for added convenience. This makes passengers more likely to be in danger because they can lose their balance. That tumbled outside while the coal moved, or being crushed by the door. Not a few people were killed using this type of elevator. Some even fell into the elevator shaft. So, this elevator system is not children and people with disabilities. This terrible level of danger. Our shepherd It has been banned in many countries around the world. There are still a few elevators in operation waiting for people every day. For fears of cockroaches, this fear is common. I'm sure you've met a lot, especially in the girls. It's fear of cockroaches. They're everywhere, from the corner of the kitchen, trash, to even the most luxurious places. There'll still be cockroaches hiding somewhere. Same in your house. They can come out of any corner, especially the toilets. Most people are. There is a feeling of discomfort. I feel great disgust when I see or accidental contact with cockroaches. For people with Batopia cockroach phobia, the expression of fear is many times a sign of excessive fear, even lost control of behavior. When they saw the cockroaches crawling, they were terrified. Until they take off. It's definitely a shroud. Why are we afraid of cockroaches? It seems that it's because we often associate dirty places, carrying fat, sick types, and we're crawling really fast. Send them away. 100% of the time, they'll run back. It can run 50 times its body, and in just a second. It doesn't sound like much, but if the ratio is equivalent of running with a speed of more than 300 kilometers per hour, and for most of us, this is the most terrifying factor. To be honest, I'm not afraid of cockroaches. If you see one in front of you, I'll smash it down with my slippers, even if it's completely harmless and does nothing. I think he already hated it. What a smelly smell they have in this little squirt. 5 is the fear of snakes. Maybe. Fear of snakes is the most common form of animal phobia. Reptiles are a third of our species. I carry fear in me. Like a snake, fear of snakes is a common emotion. When you see wild animals, dangerous, but once it's ophidiophobia syndrome. That's another thing. This fear of snakes can haunt and affect a person's life in a negative direction. There's people seeing these harmless snakes. I also had trouble breathing. My heart is beating faster. A snake is a reptile without legs. This is also a reality. It makes us feel afraid. The obsession is multiplied when there's a lot of snakes that have and it's incredibly large. To see what the world's largest snake is, well, that's the northern blue anaconda. Weighed up to 200 kilograms. About 8 meters long. It's as big as an adult's head. Not to the point of being afraid of snakes. But I also feel the distance from Vietnam but now Brazil. Between me, this snake is safe enough for me. Yes. How much money? I would never have dared to approach a snake. Hey, some researchers believe the fear of snakes. It's one of the evolutionary syndromes formed from our ancestors to increase our ability to survive in the wild. Our ancestors were also hunted by tigers, but no one is afraid of these two. It's because the snake looks ugly, not as cute as the 2 big cats above. In current human living conditions, it's easier to encounter snakes than tigers or attached to it. These are the superstitious stories about the serpents. It's capable of mesmerizing with its striped eyes. Once it sees someone, it's bad luck. Only the dead part, because they'll silently track their prey, silently day after day. 6 fears of clowns. Clowns is a masquerading for the purpose of bringing joy and laughter for everyone around. However, there are many of us who meet clowns. I feel fear again. This obsession is considered a characteristic of clown phobia. It's also known as coropia. And it seems that this fear is common in other places. I've never met anyone in Vietnam. Usually in America, about 100 children, there's going to be a child with clown phobia. For adults, it's 1 in 10. According to the researchers, clown phobia syndrome, it can come from many different reasons. It could be a bad memory about the image of the clown. Maybe it's because of the clown movies. Give them phobias or fears. Not only that, the facial features, how to dress hair, or the strange gestures of clowns. It also contributes to clown phobia. It's about seeing a human-like image. But there are different and unnatural characteristics. It can also stimulate feelings of anxiety and fear. 7 fear of bubbles. The bubbles have a cute shape. The colors are vibrant. It often brings joy and is attractive to most people, especially children. However, for a few people, they're causing a particular obsession. It's a bubble egg. This is one of those kinds of irrational fears. However, it has a huge impact on many people. It often manifests itself in excessive fear when the person is in contact with even if it's just seeing their images. It causes excessive stress reactions. It's like having trouble breathing, chest pain, nausea. It's even fainting. When faced with the bubbles, I don't want to be near a bubble. It's getting bigger and bigger because I'm afraid of being shot. Mirror phobia is when a person is always afraid to look at seeing my reflection in the mirror or even a mirror image of someone else. And sometimes when I really like it, I'm scared. One of the causes of this puzzling obsession, maybe it's from the devil's fears. Or are they spiritual forces? People with this disease, there's a strange fear of having to make contact with mirrors. When they look in the mirror, There's a reflection. Others they appear, or fear that broken mirror pieces will make them unlucky. Years of illness. Never look in the mirror at night, especially when you're alone, for fear that there's going to be some supernatural phenomenon. And that mirrors are the way to a spiritual world. Only so far it's completely unreal to these people. You just have to look in the mirror. It also makes them panic. Some people will scream or cry. Pupils open up and heart rate goes up. Some people even have eyes, dizziness and nausea, because they feel the pressure is too great. The negative relationship between the mirrors and spiritual issues. It's probably also rooted in the fear of calm water, the silence of man. In the past, many people thought, image of yourself on the water. It is my soul. And if the water is agitated, it means your soul is being destroyed. 9 smiling face syndrome. I can't find much information about but in general, this is a smiling face. Many people have beautiful smiles. That's cute. But I also have recognition there are some smiles that look creepy all over their backs. And the letter to describe this fear I'm showing up on the screen. I won't read this long letter. Guys, there's a horror movie coming out in 2022. Smile revolves around female doctor. One day, she's treating a patient named Laura. She said she was struck by a supernatural obscuring the identity of this entity. It's always a smile no matter what you wear. In the middle of a conversation, and Laura suddenly smile makes me want to run away immediately. Look at the trauma. Guys, if you like it, watch this movie. I look at it like this, guys. 10 Fear of the Dark. As a child, everyone has faced the fear of the dark because we can't see the object and activities around it. Actually, it's just a normal psychological phenomenon. But when this fear becomes extreme, absurd, and persistent, it's called nyctophobia. People with fear of the dark usually fall into a panic, trembling, difficulty breathing in the dark. People who are afraid to go out in the dark. Avoid places where there is no light. At a severe level, fear can have a negative impact on your life. It makes people sick, to live in constant anxiety, depression, stress, or always thinking about the potential dangers. In the dark, this is one of my most primal fears. The original teacher. Humans are the prey of predators. They usually hunt at night. What this means is our ancestors will have to learn to be vigilant in the dark, or they will die. The fears of the dark is also starting to form from through many generations. When humans are at the top of the food chain, this fear doesn't go away and exists until now. I know there is nothing in the dark, but not being able to see clearly in the dark. It's made it possible for the imagination to fly. Instead of being afraid of animals, now is the time. We are afraid of the devil or a monster hiding in the dark. Even I myself feel uncomfortable when groping in the dark, brothers. And those are ROBLOX games. Based on dark fears. Real, have you experienced any of the above fears? If you want my game, let's continue to analyze other fears. Please comment below, because my game will be on a new video at 18 o'clock. 2 for 6 per week. Remember to watch it with subscribe.